If you're anything like me, then there are times when you're listening to the radio or watching TV and you hear something interesting. You hear a name that triggers a thought in your head, and that thought is, Jew or not a Jew? This has happened to me especially often since we started these weekly Who's Who in Judaism videos, as I'm always looking for an interesting new Jew to introduce folks to. This past week, I heard on NPR about an amazing observatory in Chile that is set in coming days to activate one of the world's largest telescopes, fitted out with the largest digital camera ever created. So large, in fact, that it may yet give definitive proof to the existence or not of an additional planet, creatively named Planet 9. The telescope with the massive camera will be used to shoot something like 10 million images every night for the next 10 years, basically making a high-resolution movie of the entire night sky. And all of this is taking place at the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile. And I thought to myself, Vera C. Rubin, that sounds like a very Jewish name. What are the chances this observatory is named in honor of an awesome member of the tribe? Turns out, 100%. At the outset, I should remind you, I'm not a science guy. I don't really understand this stuff, but Vera Cooper Rubin certainly did. And she wanted to make sure that others would both understand it and be encouraged to pursue greater knowledge, especially other young women. Vera Cooper Rubin was born in 1928 and raised first in Philadelphia, shout out to the city of brotherly love, and then in the D.C. area. As a young girl, she became increasingly fascinated with observing the stars, and at a time when virtually no other young women were pursuing this, she decided to become an astronomer. She shared this with an interviewer. By about age 12, I would prefer to stay up and watch the stars than go to sleep. I started learning, I started going to the library and reading, but it was initially just watching the stars from my bedroom that I really did. There was just nothing as interesting in my life as watching the stars every night. Her parents, both Jewish immigrants who had come from the Pale of Settlement in Russia, were deeply supportive of their daughter's ambitions. From building a first cardboard telescope to negotiating with the local library so that Vera could check out adult science books that she ordinarily would not have been allowed to access, they encouraged their daughter's ambitions. The family was also deeply connected to their synagogue community. Vera's mother sang in the temple choir, and the whole family was present in their Reform synagogue. The socially liberal causes that Vera came to associate first with this particular brand of Reform Judaism would become her lifelong commitments as well. As an adult, she was an active member of Temple Sinai in Washington, D.C. She received her undergraduate education at the then all-women's Vassar College and was the only astronomy major to graduate in her class of 1948. Though she had the grades, knowledge, and the drive to win acceptance, she was denied acceptance in the graduate studies program at Princeton University, as it was limited to only male students. Instead, she enrolled in graduate studies at Cornell University and was mentored by greats such as Richard Feynman. It was at Cornell that she also met her husband, Robert Rubin, with whom she would go on to have 4 children. Each of them, by the way, earned PhDs as well. Just saying that being a brilliant scientist didn't make her any less of a Jewish mother. Rubin's work in astronomy would go on to change assumptions about things like the ways in which galaxies were ordered, where they were previously thought to be randomly arranged. Her research would enable her to become the first woman to use an astronomical observatory under the name of her own research. All previous women who'd ever been allowed into the observatories came in under the permission of their husbands. This led to the need to establish a women's restroom for the first time in an observatory, something Vera Rubin accomplished by cutting out the shape of a skirt out of a piece of paper and pasting it on the restroom door. An article in Tablet magazine shares, quote, "Perhaps Rubin's most significant contribution to astronomy and to humanity's understanding of the cosmos was her work that led to the discovery of dark matter, the mysterious substance that scientists now believe comprises some 80% of the density of the entire universe. The earliest ideas about dark matter came from the Swiss astronomer Fritz Zwicky in 1933, but for many decades, advances in the knowledge had stalled out. In the 1970s, collaborating with her Carnegie colleague Kent Ford, Rubin made her big discovery. Studying the rotation curves of spiral galaxies, Rubin and Ford identified seeming inconsistencies, like the fact that stars on the outermost rim of the galaxies spin at the same speeds as those toward the center. That provided compelling evidence for the existence of an unseen element, dark matter. I'm glad I read that because I didn't understand any of it. It will come as no surprise that Rubin was not given enough credit for her research and the discoveries in her life. Many have said that she was denied a rightful Nobel Prize simply due to the gender discrimination that she fought against throughout her career. However, her legacy is certainly alive today as the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile goes fully functional with the most powerful digital camera to ever observe the night sky. Who knows what next discoveries will come from this institute that bears her name, including those who are positing that it will lead to the discovery of the yet unnamed Planet 9. A lifelong and active Jew, Rubin was asked about the nexus of science and faith and said, quote, "In my own life, my science and my religion are separate. I'm Jewish, and so religion to me is a kind of moral code and a kind of history. I try to do my science in a moral way, and I believe that, ideally, science should be looked upon as something that helps us understand our role in the universe." Vera C. Rubin died in 2016 and is remembered for her pioneering work and challenging the assumptions about what women can and cannot do. Tune in next week for yet another installment of Who's Who Among the Jews.